Hi, everyone. Again, thanks for the warm welcome. It's my first time here in Italy, so it's very nice to be here. I don't know if I can make up to the guru title now, but let's try. So, yeah, I'm Chema. I'm a front-end engineer working at Liferay, and I'm coming from Spain. So I work there in our Madrid office. And yeah, I'm seeing some familiar faces here from other events, but maybe for those who don't know me yet, you might remember me from other similar talks somehow, like making Liferay a place for modern web developers back in 2015. Maybe you have seen me in modern building blocks for front-end, for modular front-end in 2016. Or maybe even last year you caught my talk about modern front-end workflows in Liferay Portal. So I know now you're all wondering, was I wearing the same shirt all those years? Did you realize? Did you get that? I'll just leave you wondering whether it was the same one or not. But I just wanted to start with that to show how much we care about this. And it's by no chance that I'm here today to show what I'm going to show and to show how we've been evolving over time. So for us, it's very important to create a platform for you and provide the proper tools and the proper features so that you can actually focus on your needs. And we've been working a lot on this, and it all starts with providing a platform for you. And that's been some of the main themes, and you'll be hearing this over and over throughout the event. So the main idea is that whether you're building portals, intranets, websites, any type of experience that you can imagine, we're giving you the right platform, the right foundation, so you can actually focus on delivering the value that you have. So whether that's your particular expertise or knowledge in a specific area, by using DXP, by using our foundation, you get a lot of functionality, a lot of features out of the box, whether it is on content management side, whether it is groups, roles, users, permissions, a lot of things that are already pre-built for you. Right? So we want to provide all these things so that you and your IT guys can actually focus on what matters and can provide that extra mile and that extra expertise on the business that you know more about. And of course, by doing this and by growing and growing the platform, it always comes with a little bit of a cost, which is that we've seen more and more that it's very hard for us to keep up with developer expectations because we're providing a lot of features, and then that makes for a more complex scenarios or makes for a more complex platform. And so how do we stay on top, and how do we provide the best developer experience for our developers? And this is what we started seeing as an issue or as a problem. And you might wonder, what are the developer expectations for front-end developers today? I don't know if you know about this, but there's this thing called NPM registry, which as of last year, and this is a quote from exactly a year ago, held over 500,000 projects. Those are JavaScript projects held on a public repository that everyone can access, install, and use. 1 year later, we're talking about almost a million, over 800,000 projects, JavaScript projects or other type of projects, but a lot of them that you can actually use. So it's not hard to understand or to imagine what a front-end developer wants, right? She just wants to go there and then tap on all that potential. So she can actually just build features, she can build experiences, and she doesn't have to focus or she doesn't have to care about building the same thing over and over. So actually making use of that, it's something that every front-end developer nowadays expects. So we saw a couple of years ago that we weren't meeting this expectation, and then it was showing off more and more on our forums where developers were actually asking, how should I do this? Or why can't I do this? This should be very straightforward. So what's going on? Of course, we just started thinking about this, and the solution, well, might surprise you, but we came up to this conclusion. We should just support NPM. And I know now it's like you're thinking, wow, these guys are very smart, right? Like no one would ever come up with this idea. It's just crazy thought to try to even imagine this. And I want to make a stop here because we actually didn't think about this. So, and I want to say today because Pierre is also here. So almost 2 years ago, I think this was somehow 2017, January, something like that. Pierre actually came to us and said, hey, I have a vision, I have an idea of how we can actually achieve this. And he not just gave us the idea, he not just started saying what we should do. He actually went and created an example for us, a proof of concept. He went there and showed it how it could be done. And I want to publicly thank Pierre again for pushing us and also encourage everyone in this room to see how, by the power of open source, the power of the community, we continuously keep growing and making the platform better. So thanks, Pierre, again. So we took Pierre's code, which was so-so. Okay, let's be... And then we thought about what we wanted with this. And we had 3 main goals. One was that a front-end developer should use the tools of her choice. Whatever she wanted to use, she should be able to. The second one is that a developer shouldn't have to care about how we assemble an application or deploy or things that it's probably out of their realm or out of their area of expertise. And at the end, for administrators, for DevOps, for those people that actually cared about the system in place, we wanted to make sure that the applications integrated seamlessly inside the portal, inside your whole environment. Make sure that performance didn't degrade over time as you started putting more and more applications in there. So imagine you have maybe different teams creating different React portlets or Angular applications, and then they all live together. How do you make sure that when all those are in the same place at the same time, your application is still smooth, it still performs properly? I'll just cut it short because you can actually check more about this in last year's talk. So I just want to give a bit of an overview. So what we ended up having was that a developer could just create more or less a general JavaScript application. So she could just go there, use npm install, get all the node modules, npm modules that she wanted, and then create an application. And then she could just deploy that by the tools we provide, and then that would create a specific or a custom-made or tailored application for our portal scenario. So by using our bundler, which is, if you know, Webpack, Rollup, like common tools that are in the front-end world, then our npm bundler is just something that does the same job but applied to our specific scenario, that's the portal. So front-end developer would just npm install, have fun with it, be happy, create an application, and then deploy to the portal. Portal will do some magic under the hood, figure out what npm modules are being used, then make them available for either that application or others, and then at the time, the application will run. So when a client will actually check the page, see those different applications, then it will all be magically solved for them. And this simple schema or graphic just explains everything that you need to know about this, whether you believe it or not. It actually works. And if you're on Portal 7.0, I think GA5, and the XP Fixpack 30 on above, you can already use npm for your developments. So we presented this last year. We got outstanding ovations, great reviews. Everyone loved it. This was like the best thing we ever did, and I have real quotes to prove this. So my grandma really, she was in love with this. So, but as everything in life, nothing and nobody's perfect. So we started seeing some things that we could improve, and that's what takes us here today. And what we saw were 3 main issues that we identified. One was that we still relied heavily on Liferay-specific knowledge, whether it is OSGI, Blade, Gradle, Portlet Spec. There's a lot of terms, a lot of knowledge in there that's not really common on the front-end world. So why would we still, or why did we still need our front-ends to actually know about this? The second one was that deployment and assembly was still very complex, very hard to actually configure. And the last one, and maybe more problematic, was that by trying to improve or by trying to be maybe too smart about how we were putting together all those things, we were actually causing problems to ourselves and to our developers. Because we were trying to be very smart about how to reuse modules, how to make sure that we were only loading the best or the smallest amount of modules, then we were actually having unexpected problems. So we did again what we know how to do, which was think about how to solve this. And this time, I know now we probably, everyone could have guessed, we just went with, let's do it better. Right? So the way we approached this was, and you can read more about it in those blog posts as well, but we tried to go step by step. And the first step was actually take a step back. Right? So we were seeing that when you had different React applications, for example, or different applications of any kind, they would all maybe depend on the same or on a similar module. Like, let's say, different versions of React. Right? Our system, by default, because we want to make sure that the system was very performant, would actually give you just one to both of those applications. So imagine you have an application depending on React 15, another one on React 16 or 15 something, and then they would all get the latest one. This on paper sounds awesome and amazing, but in practice has problems because you've never tried this development on this application. You've never tried to, or you've never tested it, you've never tried it, so you don't know what to expect. So the solution, as I was saying, was take a step back and just scope those dependencies. If you, let's just show some code here. This is how actually a module or a JavaScript application looks like when transpiled to use in IE11. That's what we're still trying to target. Just quick show of hands here. How many of you still need to support IE11? Just Pierre. Okay, I was hoping, I didn't see any hands in North America 2 weeks ago, so I was hoping for no hands here, so we could just drop it, but no luck. Okay, sorry. So this is how it would look, and it's just like it's a module definition. It's just saying what modules do I need. So this is an Angular module, and it's just explicitly stating that it needs Angular core. That's a module that I need for my application to run. So what happened before was that when this was put in the portal scenario, then all of them would get this just single Angular core module dependency. Easy peasy. We just added something on front of it. So by prefixing your dependencies with the name of your project, we easily solve this. So that means that when you're developing, you know the whole set of dependencies, everything you're actually using to build. And then by the time we create the project for you, we just put all those things in. All the things you are using, those are the ones you'll get. And then no more surprises. Of course, this comes with some extra work. So we're also changing file names. We're providing all the infrastructure so that at the end, what you deploy is what you actually expect and it works. And of course, this came with a price, because by taking a step back, we couldn't actually fulfill that third goal or requirement that we had, which was make sure that this stays performant. So now we have different Angular applications, and they are going to all get different Angular frameworks. That's all going to work on the same time, on the same page, which is going to be affecting our performance. So how do we bring that back? Right? At that moment, if we do that, which is fairly what Webpack, Rollup, other web bundlers actually do, we're no different than them. Right? We're not optimizing for our platform. And this time, what we tried to do was be less smart about it, and then provide developers the option and let's say, the knowledge on how to do that, how to actually enable this. So by providing an opt-in strategy, we expect that a developer or a company that knows how their whole IT operation is run can actually make those decisions better than we can. So this is also very simple. So what we have now is just simple provider module on my right now, which just lists some dependencies. So in this case, we're trying to create an Angular project, and then we're also trying to do this across our company. This is actually a real example that we're actually using. So let's say your infrastructure team is just putting together the requirements for the whole project. Like we're going to use Angular. These are the dependencies, and these are the common shared modules that we need. You just need to do simple JavaScript or simple OGI module with this package JSON, and then just bundle all those dependencies, which will make them available on the browser for you. Then on the left side, we have what's actually a consumer, what's actually just the regular application. The only difference here is that rather than, on top of having to add those dependencies, which are the ones your application needs, you can configure our bundler to say, I'll be taking these dependencies from somewhere else. So now in this case, you as a developer know that these are being provided, and these are the ones that are being provided to you. So you can just make the choice. So now you're opting into this improved performance world. So by doing this, by agreeing to that, you can make sure that everything is going to perform in the proper way. And in code, the way it looks is just very similar. So now, remember, we already scoped our packages. So now we were just using Angular core from my project. The next step is also trivial. We just get it from somewhere else. There's no magic there. So by doing these two steps, we actually solved a lot of problems that we were experiencing with pure dependencies and different semantic versioning resolution. So now we were at this moment where everything now was, again, perfect. We solved all these problems. Again, my grandma was really happy. She understood this perfectly. I actually did this with her, and she got it at the first time. But we wanted to go a step further, and we were thinking, like, if we have all this, why do we still need Java? Right? Could we do this without Java? Could we actually use our tools or closer frameworks, closer workflows to what a front-end expects? And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't to say yes. Right? So you can already check on devliferay.com how to create and bundle JavaScript portlets with just JavaScript tooling. What we've provided, and it's already available on the marketplace for 7.1 and DXP, it's an additional piece that you can install, which is called the JS Portlet Extender, which is going to do, again, some bit of magic under the curtain so that you and your developers, especially your front-end developers, don't have to worry about this. We've also created some generators for you, which, as you know, or probably are aware how they work. It allows you to simply run a command on the command line and then pick the type of project you want, so you can get started real quick. So maybe you want to do an Angular project, and then you just run through some of the questions, like maybe where would you want to see this app running, and then just let NPM work for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes maybe. No, not so long. But by the end, what you have is a plain old or plain new JavaScript project with pretty little things that actually tie that to Liferay. And one thing you might see is on your package JSON, you have a specific field that we've called portlet, where you can actually add all the regular portlet descriptions or descriptors or properties that you can set on your regular Java stuff. And this will get transferred automatically for you. So true, a front-end developer might not need to care about this or know about this, but surely someone in your team might, and will actually want to maybe set security for that, make sure that this is just instanceable or shows in your company groups. And then we have just the regular entry point. And that's where some of the magic starts happening. So having an entry point is just common in the front-end world, right? And then the only thing that we're actually asking is that this entry point has a specific look. It actually adheres to a specific interface. So we expect that that entry point is just a method. So you just need to give us an entry point that will actually take control over the rendering for us. So we're going to prepare the portal page with everything. So like the same thing we've been doing before, but at the moment of rendering inside, we're just going to transfer to you. And by calling this function, you'll get portlet namespace, just a namespace, so you can actually make sure that IDs don't collide. If you have forms, they actually work properly, because remember, you can have multiple applications running on the same page at the same time. So you can namespace those, you can have some paths so you can access resources, and the most important one, you get where to render your content. And then from there, you just render your content. And that's it. Okay, I'm saying, oh, thanks, Pierre. I actually saw some doubt in your faces, so I'll try to do this one last time, which is I'm going to do a live demo. Even though I promised I'll never do this again, let's try. We have 5 minutes to try to create a couple of applications. So this is a running instance of Portal. I'm just going to refresh here. And then here I've already set up some projects for this. So let's start with a view one. As you can see here, this is just a regular view application or just a regular JavaScript application, as I was saying, with the package.json file, regular scripts to build, entry point, and then I just have my main application that is just calling something in view. So this is just nothing fancy here. And the cool thing that we're seeing with this new approach is that you can start doing things like just code outside of Portal. So now I have a view application that runs outside of Portal. I don't need Portal for anything. I can just go here. If I'm a developer, I can just go here. I can start changing my code. This is a Webpack dev server, as any common, any JavaScript developer would expect. So 2018. And then just by saving, then I can see just my code refresh. That's just, well, that's just regular front-end workflow. So you can imagine how you can start actually just coding on the side. You can do work on the side. You don't have to care about where this is going to be delivered. By the time you're done, you can just run the deploy command. It's just going to create a project for you, which shouldn't take very long. And then this is going to end in our Portal scenario, where you will get an application ready to install and to add and drag and drop to your page. And this adheres to, this is just a regular portlet that just works. So now you can see how you can get your front ends productive. They can be busy, they can be happy, and then you can start transferring this knowledge onto Liferay Portal with a very simple command. And yeah, sure, this is like a very simple application, nothing worth applauding again, so just hold a little bit more. So I'll show one a bit more complex. So imagine now you have a React application, and in this case, let me just run it for you. And while it runs, I'll just show like what a common developer would do. This is just a common React application. It's just rendering an application on a specific ID on the page. The application is using, as you can see, routes and components. So this is actually looking like a fairly common and typical React project. And it's actually talking to remote APIs. And then it even actually has to start a node server here on the side to actually handle authentication. And this just works. So imagine you're on the headless scenario where you can actually just build your applications. You have sign in here, which you can, that's where you actually get the tokens for your APIs. And then here we're just listing people's and my document library. This is just pure headless scenario, talking to APIs and then building your custom frontend. Okay. Love the expectation. So how can I take this into Portal? Right. So the good news is that you don't have to do pretty much anything. Here I have the same project, and the only thing we've changed is that now we are actually exporting this main function. But the code, you see, is the same. So now, rather than just rendering out of the box, we're saying we'll render when we're ready. And then if you see inside, the code is the same. So if I actually go and deploy this one, and one cool thing to actually see about this is that what happens, for example, with login, with authentication. So on one side, you have your headless experience, where you actually have to care about credentials and how do you have those permissions, how do you handle that on your UI. But now you're actually taking this app into something that's already taking care of that. So you have already signing for you that you can actually maybe connect to your LDAP from your company, and that's all handled by the platform. You just have to care about your application. So we just deployed, actually had deployed here. So now we have the same application running inside of Liferay portal, and the cool thing in this case is that you don't even have to actually log in. You're already logged in because the platform provides it for you. You have access to all your document library. You can even do crazy things, like really, really crazy things, like adding dog pictures if that's your thing, which I wouldn't recommend. So that's actually pretty much what we have. My grandma was actually not so happy about this. She's more old style. But we hope that this actually excites you, that you can see the potential of this, and we're waiting and hoping for all your feedback and your contributions in the future. Thank you.